The message arrived at 11:47 p.m., glowing on my phone like a secret I was never meant to see, and in that single moment I knew my life was about to split into a before and an after. I was lying on my bed, half asleep, when my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. Work messages from my boss, Claire, were usually short, sharp, and strictly professional. But this one felt different the second I saw her name on the screen. It wasn't an email. It wasn't a task. It was a text. And when I opened it, my heart stopped. "I wish," it said, followed by a pause that felt painfully human, "that for once, someone would choose me, not my position, not my strength, not my money, just me. I wish I wasn't so alone this Christmas." Below it, another line appeared before I could even breathe. "Do you want to make it come true?" For a few seconds, I couldn't move. My boss, the woman who walked through the office like nothing could touch her, the woman everyone admired and feared in equal measure, had just let me see the most fragile part of her. Then 3 little dots appeared. They vanished. Another message replaced the last. "My God. Please ignore that. Wrong person." But it was too late. I had already read her Christmas wish, and somehow, without meaning to, she had placed it directly into my hands. The next morning at work, everything felt different. Claire stood at the head of the conference table, confident as ever, crisp blazer, calm voice. No one else could tell that just hours earlier she had confessed something raw and aching. But I could. Every time our eyes met, there was a flicker, embarrassment, fear, and something else I couldn't name that I told myself to forget it. She was my boss. Crossing that line could destroy my job, my reputation, my future. But the truth was, I couldn't unsee her loneliness. I started noticing things I had ignored before. How she stayed late every night even when she didn't need to. How she never talked about family. How she smiled politely at office jokes but never laughed fully. A week before Christmas, the office buzzed with plans, family dinners, flights home, gift exchanges. Claire announced she'd be out of town, vague and distant. When everyone left that evening, I found her still at her desk, staring at her screen like she didn't know how to turn the computer off. "You should go home," I said quietly. She looked up, startled, then sighed. "Home to what?" The words slipped out before she could stop them. Silence filled the room. Then she straightened. "I'm sorry. Long day." I almost walked away. Almost. But instead, I said the words that had been sitting in my chest since that night. "About the message, you don't have to pretend it didn't happen." Her face drained of color. "I was hoping you would." "I can," I said honestly. "But I don't think you should be alone this Christmas." She studied me, walls rising fast. "Pity invitations aren't what I wished for." "It's not pity," I replied. "It's choice." She didn't answer. But later that night, my phone buzzed again. "If you're serious," her message read, "come with me to the shelter tomorrow. No work talk. Just, be there." The shelter was hosting a Christmas outreach, food, gifts, warmth for people who had none. Watching Claire there changed everything. She wasn't the powerful executive anymore. She was gentle, patient, laughing with kids, kneeling to talk to elderly women. At one point, I saw her slip into a quiet corner and wipe her eyes. "My parents volunteered every Christmas," she told me softly when I asked. "After they passed, I stopped coming. It hurt too much." That was the moment I understood her wish wasn't about romance. It was about being seen. About not carrying the world alone. Christmas Eve came, and I expected nothing. Then she called. Not texted. Called. "Are you busy?" she asked. "I wasn't planning to be," I said. "Then, would you come over? I don't want to make dinner for one." Snow fell softly outside her apartment that night. We cooked together, burned the first batch of cookies, laughed harder than either of us had in years. At midnight, she handed me a small wrapped box. "I didn't know what to get you," she said nervously. Inside was a simple watch. On the back, engraved, were the words, "Thank you for staying." "I didn't mean to send that message," she said, voice trembling. "But I'm glad I did." I took a breath. "Me too." She looked at me then, not as a boss, not as a leader, but as a woman standing on the edge of something scary and beautiful. "Do you still want to make my wish come true?" she asked quietly. "I already am," I replied. The next year wasn't easy. We set boundaries. We faced rumors. I even changed departments to keep things professional. But something remarkable happened. Claire softened. She delegated. She laughed more. And I found myself growing too, braver, more honest, more willing to choose connection over fear. On the following Christmas, we returned to the shelter together, hand in hand, no longer hiding. Watching the lights glow and hearing the laughter around us, Claire squeezed my hand and whispered, "I thought wishes were childish." I smiled. Sometimes they're just truths waiting to be heard. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. One accidental message had changed 2 lives, proving that even the strongest people need someone to answer when they quietly ask, "Do you want to make it come true?" The morning after Christmas arrived with a quiet weight, the kind that makes you realize the magic is fragile and choices still have consequences. I woke up before my alarm, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from the night before. The laughter. The silence. The way Claire's voice trembled when she asked that question. It would have been easy to believe that everything had changed forever, but reality doesn't bend so easily. By Monday, we would walk back into the office, and the world would still see her as my boss and me as her employee. At work, the distance returned. Claire was professional, calm, untouchable. If anyone noticed the shift in her eyes when she looked at me, they didn't say a word. Meetings passed. Emails flew. The office hummed like nothing had happened. But in the quiet moments, when she thought no one was watching, I saw it: hesitation. Fear. The same loneliness she had tried so hard to hide. 3 weeks later, a rumor spread like wildfire. Someone had seen us leaving the building together. Whispers curled through the office halls, sharp and unforgiving. HR requested a meeting. Claire sat across from me, hands folded, expression steady, but I could tell how much it cost her to stay composed. "This is my fault," she said later, when we were alone. "You didn't ask for any of this." "I chose it," I replied. "Just like you wished someone would." She shook her head. "I've spent my whole life being strong. I don't know how to protect someone else without losing everything." For the first time, I saw her not as someone above me, but as someone standing beside me, unsure, human, scared. And I realized something painful and true: love doesn't erase fear. It asks you to walk through it anyway. The pressure grew. The board questioned her leadership. Friends warned me I was risking my career. There were nights we didn't speak, not because we didn't care, but because we were both trying to figure out if caring was enough. One evening, after a brutal day, Claire showed up at my door unannounced. No makeup. No armor. Just her. "I almost sent another message tonight," she confessed. But this time, I stopped myself. Why? Because I was afraid the wish would disappear if I said it out loud again. She sat on my couch, shoulders slumped. "I don't need grand gestures. I don't need promises. I just need to know I'm not alone when things get hard." I took her hand. "You're not." The next morning, she made a decision that stunned everyone. She disclosed the relationship. She requested oversight. She stepped back temporarily, not because she was weak, but because she was strong enough to choose integrity over image. Some people judged her. Some admired her. But something unexpected happened too. Others opened up. People stayed late to help. Laughter returned to the office. Trust grew where fear used to live. Months passed. The noise faded. The truth remained. The following Christmas, Claire didn't make a wish by accident. She said it out loud, standing beside me under soft lights and falling snow. "I wish," she said, smiling, "that people stop believing strength means being alone." I squeezed her hand, knowing the answer before she even asked, because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't leading others, it's letting someone walk with you.